Rav Biderman, the well-known Mashgiach in Yerushalayim, handed over a story about a fellow approached him recently, living in Yerushalayim, all the information confirmed. He said, I was born and raised in the United States, and during my childhood I knew I'm Jewish, but that's it. I never have any relationship with religion or knowing something about Judaism. The parents sent me to one of those temples for a bar mitzvah, but other than that, I was totally secular. He says, when I was in a senior year in college, I tried to make a quick money. And I was involved in business that is illegal. And I make so much money that I stay in that business for several years. And I make a lot of money. But then one day the police get the hand over that business. And not just that, the police themselves bought something from my business, and they tailor the case for a long time, and eventually they arrested me, and I hired the top attorney to represent me. So I'm sitting in the attorney's office, and he said to me, at least 20 years you're going to jail. So I said, well, if that's the case, that's the way it is. So they scheduled a day for the trial session, costs endless of money, and about several hours before the trial, I was supposed to meet with the attorney to go over the crucial details, and I'm leaving him messages, and the man did not respond. Hour before the court time, eventually I get him on the phone. And he said, I apologize, I'm sorry, I flew from out of state. I called one of my assistants, they have a big law firm. One of my assistants, a young man, he is going to represent you in the court. He says, I went crazy because this is a very hard case. This is the least of 20 years in jail time. And this is the little pisher, a little, attorney that just get to the office, and he's going, which I never met, he's going to represent my case. He's going before the judge. How is that going to work? And he hang up. So I have no choice, because that was the court case that's scheduled long ago. So I met that attorney maybe a half hour before I went to the court. I met him a half hour before the session. It's a young man, just finished college, and he's going to this big, complicated trial before the judge. And he looked at me, can be a, little baby, and he said, don't worry, I'm going to take care of you. So he's standing before the judge. I have no clue what's going on, and they are screaming at each other for a half hour. The judge screaming at him, and he's screaming back, and I understand English. I was born and raised here, and I have no idea what they are arguing. And they're screaming and yelling, and screaming and yelling. And eventually, after a half an hour, the judge stood up and said, I'm sick of this. The case dismissed, it's over. It's over, that's it. Closed the case. The police was mad, everybody's mad. He closed the case, he said, it's over. Granted, it's not enough evidence here. I'm giving up, it's closed. Fine. They walk out. He says, I didn't know what to react. This young man get me out of at least 20 years in jail time. So the guy said to me, what is your plan? I said, it has to be God. God's involved in this. I have to make some. So he said to me, okay, whenever you come down, we'll sit and talk. So what happened is, I walk out, I was sobbing, crying, I couldn't believe what's going on. I went basically the first time to the first Orthodox shul. To make long story short, a couple of weeks later I made Aliyah. And he said, day before I made Aliyah, I made that attorney. And I said to him, how that happened, what exactly happened. So he said, since you're leaving the country and since you're asking me this type of question, I'll be honest with you, I'll tell you what happened. I just finished school, and the judge is my grandfather. And my grandfather, we made a deal before the court session that he's going to make me a big name. And therefore, Grandpa and I decided we're going to pretend that we are fighting, and at the end of that, he's going to grant it, and that's all set up. And now, since I'm a big winner of this big case, I'm going to go up in hill like popular attorney, and it's nothing to do with you. So when Rabbi Weisblum said his story, he said, you know, we're reaching a point of the high holidays. We have a court session. We believe that we're standing before the Lord, and the Lord God is not our grandfather, it's our Father. We said so many times, Avinu Malkeinu, our Father, our King, right? During the davenings, Lichot and Rosh Hashanah. We said, our Father, our King. So when we say our Father, our King, we basically ask Him to expunge, to erase all of our mistakes, all of our averot, all of our sins. Now imagine if you have a day in a bank, the bank said, okay, we're going to erase all the debts, all the loans you own, 1 day, 2 days. Guess what? You have a long line of people standing, waiting to erase the debt, right? Now, here is our chance. You go on Rosh Hashanah before God, and He asks us to pray, to scream, to yell, to say, please erase the case, right? Hashivenu avinu letoratecha. We said every single day during the davening, right? The Amidah, twice. We said, please God, erase of our mistakes, return us back to the Torah, the mitzvot, bring us chonen adat, bring us the wisdom to understand the Torah. And this is the opportunity. It's not the grandfather, it's our Father. Anyway, the subject we're going to discuss today is a Inyanei Nazirut, which is a man, as we explained yesterday, a woman that decided to give away the materialism and go in a spiritual path. And we explained that there are different stages. One subject we're going to learn is called Toch Kedei Dibur, meaning if a person expresses something and then he or she changed their mind, how it will have a hatpasa or not, if it's accepted or not, in which term. Another thing is the changes of location. For example, Nazirut in Eretz Israel versus someone who's Nazir outside and came to Eretz Israel, as we explained, part of the ritual is bringing offering by the end of the terms. Also, we're going to speak about cross-examination from different witnesses in regards to Naziruyot. So we are on page 20, 4 lines from the top of the page. So we are on page 20, 4 lines from the top of the page. Ma'aseh beHeleni Amalka. The Mishnah referred to us, as we studied yesterday, about Queen Helene, that her son went to war. She committed herself for 7 years period of Nazirut. She heard the good news that he returned at peace. She ascended to Eretz Israel, and there are 2 versions what exactly happened, how long she observed the Nazirut. We studied yesterday, we explained that when it's come to Nazirut Bechul, if someone commits himself to be Nazirite outside of Eretz Israel, it is a disputation between the house of Shammai and the house of Hillel. And we explained that since the matter of bringing an offering applies in a temple in Jerusalem, in Israel, therefore a person need to do something in the manner of Nazirut physically in Eretz Israel. The house of Shammai said the minimum term of Nazirut, how long is? 30 days. So the moment she moved to Eretz Israel, she imposed by the sages for 30 days period, which is the minimum time of Nazirut, and then she can complete it with the offering, etc. Versus Beit Hillel that hold that you go by the same term and condition, that she committed originally. And since she committed originally to 7 years, so they impose upon her another exact time, which is another 7 years period, which is 14 years, 7 outside of Israel, 7 inside of Israel. So so the student of Yeshiva have a question: does Rabbi Yehuda hold that she was Nazirah, the Helene, the queen, was a Nazirite 14 years only? He hold, you know what's the case happened? One way is Beshenitmet Aliba de Beit Shammai, which means she became ritually impure and followed the house of Shammai, which means that happened at the very end of her period of Nezirut, and then when she became ritually impure, she have now another 30 days period, and when she completed 30 days period, then she can go ahead and do all those rituals. So the Rosh explained it means that it's 14 years, because 7 plus 7 plus 30. The Keren Orah said that the additional 30 days is the same as someone who become ritually impure during the period of the Nezirut, which means that negates all the days that prior observed by him. That's one way, or Dilma, or the other way around. Rabbi Yehuda disputed the first view, and he hold Beshelo nitmet ve'aliba de Beit Hillel. She wasn't ritually impure by any means, but you have to go by the school of Beit Hillel. That Beit Hillel said, as we explained, that you go by the same term and condition in the original commitment. So since she ascended to Israel, she needs to go by the same term, which is another 7 years, total 14 years. Tashma. So now, in order to solve this predicament, we need to bring another source. So the source we use now is the Mishnah itself. We zoom in and try to understand the Mishnah. עלתה לארץ והורו בית הלל שתהיה נזירה עוד 7 שנים אחרות. Meaning, she ascended to Eretz Israel, and at the end, the Beit Hillel said that she needs to have 7 years, but at the very end of that period, she became ritually impure. So Rabbi Yehuda said that she was 14 years. If you tell me Beshenitmed, which means the reason for that is because she turned to be ritually impure, Valiba de Beit Shammai, that it's apply only 30 days period. Yachei, the Mishnah will say the following language. Rabbi Yehuda omer lo הייתה נזירה אלא 14 שנה. Rabbi Yehuda said that she wasn't Nazirite only 14 years, but they need to say it differently. Instead of this language, they need to say 14 שנה ו30 יום מבא אליה. Meaning she was 7 plus 7 plus 30, which is in addition to 2 terms of 7 years of Nezirut, she have another 30 days, the way that the sages impose on her. That's the way the Rosh explained. So it means, in conclusion, that Rabbi Yehuda followed the view of Beit Hillel, and the story is that she has nothing to do with ritual impurity. It was just the term that Hillel said, as we explained earlier, that it was the same manner of which the original commitment match with while you are physically in Israel, which is 7 outside of Israel. That was the original commitment, another 7 years in Israel itself. Another proof, the Gemara said that Rabbi Yehuda follow in the view of Beit Hillel. Tanya Nameach, Rabbi Yehuda Mishum Rabbi Eliezer Damakra, the Torah said in the book of Bamidbar, chapter 6, verse 13, Zot Torat HaNazir b'yom melot yemei nizro. This is the law of the Nazirite when the days of his consecration are fulfilled. What does that mean? HaTorah amra ki nitma b'yom melot. When the Torah states that when he becomes impure on the day of the completion of his Nazirut, even if it was at the end of the lengthy term, ten lo Torat Nazir, give him the law of Nazirut, which is 30 days, regardless if it was the last day of the term of Nazirut of 30 days or a longest term of Nazirut. He needs to go back and observe only 30 days period. So if you tell me that Rabbi Yehuda hold that the whole story happened when she became ritually impure and follow Beit Shammai, so therefore the Nazirut cannot be 14 years period, but only 7 years, plus 30 days when she turned to Eretz Israel, and then she became ritually impure, so imposed upon her another 30 days. So you end up how long? 7 outside, 30 plus 30, 7, 60. So if you tell me that it was what, another 7 years, it can be because of ritual impurity, but only the fine that the sages impose for someone who committed himself to be Nazir outside of Eretz Israel, and therefore they follow Beit Hillel that you have to fulfill the matter of Nazirut physically in Eretz Israel. And since the original commitment, we said several times, was 7 years, you go by another 7 years. Let me share with you a story about a great Hasidic Rebbe. He was named Rabbi Moshe of Boyan. I heard it from Rav Shrom. Beautiful story. So it was at the end of World War I in Russia. It was a righteous woman. By the beginning of the war, her son was drafted to Russian army. And she was so traumatized. That was the only son. She had no other children, no husband. So she committed herself to give all of her jewelry to tzedakah if the son returned peace from that horrible war that the world exposed, World War I. And unfortunately, several years later, she heard the good news that he is alive, but the bad news is that he was now active part of the Bolsheviks, which is the Communist Party. He married a Catholic girl, and the mother was totally devastated. So she went to this Hasidic Rebbe and she said, first of all, if I know all of that, I'd rather see him dead. And then she said, I didn't even see him. I only see picture that someone sent me. So she asked a question if her original commitment to give away all of her jewelry is still in effect. Because, number one, her original kavanah, her original intent was to see him. And to see him follow the path that she sent him to the army. So the big question by halacha, if you have here any petach, any chalot neder, or not. Mishnah. The Holy Mishnah said, מי שהיו שתי קטעי עדים מעידות אותו. אלו מעידים שנזר 2, ואלו מעידים שנזר 5. Meaning you have two group of עדים, two group of witnesses. One said that testifying that he commits himself for 2 Nazirut, another one said for 5 times, and the person the Rosh explains denies everything. So Bet Shammai אומרים נחלקה עדות. Since you have two group of witnesses that testified one against the other, so therefore ואין כאן נזירות, you do not have to impose at him נזירות at all. ובית הלל אומרים יש בכלל 5 times, since you have incorporate 2 within the 5, and since both parties agree with minimum of 2 years, therefore שיהיה נזיר 2. So you have to have Nazir for 2 years, 2 terms, and that's the way they בית הלל hold. מתאים לי לא כהייתנא דתניא, רבי ישמעאל בנו של רבי יוחנן בן ברוקה אומר, לא נחלקו בית שמאי בית הלל על 2 קטעי עדים, אחת אומרת 2 ואחת אומרת 5. That's not disputation between 2 and 5, שיש 5 בכלל 5 2. Everyone agrees that you have number 2 included with the 5. על מה נחלקו? What's the real disputation between בית שמאי ובית הלל? על כת אחת, one group of 2 witnesses, אחד אומר 2 ואחד אומר 5. One said 2, one said 5. So since they said what they heard from the guy, שבית שמאי נחלקה עדותם, בית שמאי said that this is a contradicted, the testimony is divided, as the 2 witnesses are in conflict, and there are no testimony here at all. ובית הלל אומרים, יש בכלל 2, 5. You have within the 5, you included 2 terms, so therefore, you agree, you follow their testimony, and you have to go by the 2 terms, and that's what you have to observe. אמר רב הכל מודים במונה. Rav said that all agree when you're counting that the testimony contradict each other. אמר לרב חמא, לרב חיסדא מייקה אמר, according to רב חיסדא, what is try to say? אילמה, אחד אומר 5 ולא 2, ואחד אומר 2 ולא 5. Meaning each of them stand firm for their view, 1, 2, 1, 5. Haka mekach she'adai. You see here clearly that the one contradicted the others. Ela, you have to say, אחד אומר 1 ו2. One said 1 and 2 term when he took a vow of נזירות, ואחד אומר 3, 4 ו-5, and one said that the person said 3, 4 and 5 terms when he make this commitment. Page 20, B, למה לי? So why the ed mentioned the 2 term of נזירויות? השתא יש לומר, חמירתה אמר רב, קילתה לא אמר. Rav hold about they have the larger number, but not this. He did not say the smaller number. Amre b'ma'arava, the Eretz Yisrael, they said, ein hakhasha b'moneh. You don't have any term of contradiction when you have these witnesses counted. So the Rambam hold, if you have 2 contradicted, you cannot, lo metzarafim, you cannot combine it. So if one said that he committed himself to be Nazir twice, another one said 5 times, so you don't need to go by this term of 2 times. But furthermore, the Rambam differentiated between disputation with money, mamonot, versus Naziruyot. We said if mamonot, one said that Reuven or Shimon maneh 100, another one said that you owe him 200, so you have to go by 200. Why? Money is different than Naziruyot. This is a long Rambam, we're running out of time. Hadran alach, מי שאמר. פרק רביעי, the Mishnah. מי שאמר, הריני נזיר, ושמע חברו ואמר ואני. So, Reuven said, I am Nazirite. Shimon heard that and says, me too. ואני. And then another one said, me too. כולם נזירים, they all become Nazirite. Meaning, each of them, when they use the term me, they meant to say, I am like this guy, like Reuven. Hutar harishon, utru kulam. The moment you dissolve the first one, everyone else dissolve. Hutar acharon, but if you dissolve, for example, the third guy, acharon mutar vekulam asurim. The last one is dissolved, but all the others not. Why? Because they not depend upon the last one, versus the other way around. Because all this matter of knotting, right? To knot something. Tying together, you're tying by the original commitment. The first guy, Reuven, אמר הריני נזיר ושמע חברו ואמר פיו כפי, he said, instead of say I, he said, whatever he said in his mouth is like my mouth. ושערי כשערו. My hair is like his hair. הרי זה נזיר. So he, the second person too, become a נזיר. הרי נזיר ושמע אשתו ואמרה אני. If he said that I will be נזיר, and his wife heard, and she said me too, מפר את שלה, he can revoke her. However, ושלא קיים, but his, it's in effect, because he is not dependent upon her vow. But if it's the other way around, הריני נזירה ושמע בעלה ואמר ואני, אני לא יכול להפר. If she committed herself to be נזירה, and her husband said me too, then he cannot abrogate that, her, because he basically attached his matter of Nazirut to her commitment. So if he revoke her, then he is already revoked, and a person cannot revoke his own vows. If someone said to his wife, הריני נזיר ואת, he says, I'll hereby Nazir, and how about you? ואמרה אמן, and she said, his wife responded and said amen. So here we have a problem, right? Because what is that amen? Amen means me too. מפר את שלה ושלא קיים. Her can be revoked, his remain in effect. הריני נזירה ואתה, if she said I'll be נזירות, and how about you? ואמר אמן, אינו יכול להפר. So then, other way around, he cannot. So we are running out of time, but there's a tzlach in the Tractate Brachot that based on this Mishnah ask a question about shofar. When someone blow the shofar, you have a concept of shomea keoneh. Someone hear the shofar is the same as you are part of the blowing the shofar. And the question is, why you don't say the same term that one can fulfill by the others? You hear something from someone and you already fulfill. So in short, the tzlach tried to say that shofar is different because there is a difference between motzi yedei chova, others, verses here. יתיב ריש לקיש כמד רבי יהודה נשיאה וכיתיב כאמר, והוא כשהדפיסו כולם בתוך כדי דיבור, וכמה תוך כדי דיבור, so he said it's all apply when it was all doing their expressions, and how long, what is the exact expression of the manner of speaking, כדי שאלת שלום, when someone said hello to someone. So what does that mean? וכמה כדי שלום, כדי שאומר שלום תלמיד לרב, which means when someone said, like we learn הקהל הקדוש, remember, שלום עליך רבי ומורי, אמר לי, טוב לא שבקת רבך לתלמידה. If you go by that, you have not given any leeway to the students. Why? Because before they have the opportunity to say, and I, so someone else have a Nazirut, he see a teacher, and he must greet him. Page 21, תניא נמי מי שאמר הרי נזיר ושמר חברו ושעה כדי דיבור, ואמר ואני, someone said I will be Nazir, and his fellow heard and he said me too, הוא אסור בחברו מותר, he is prohibited and his fellow allowed, וכמה כדי דיבור, כדי שיהיה שלום תמיד לרב. So there is a lot of halachic discussion based on that. For example, take the idea of saying she'akol, right? Something you start, bore priya gafen, you say 3 words, right? And then you say, oh, she'akol niya bidvaro. So the question is, the code asks, yatsa or lo yatsa yedei chova? Because the big question is how you treated toch kedei dibur, is machloket, is disputation. One said, it is shalom alecha rabbi. One said, Shalom Alecha Rabbi Umori, and the big question is, if you have adpasa or you don't have adpasa, while toch kedei dibur, while you have this expression.
Kare tu